As Kenyans in the world mourned and buried Raila Odinga, one foreign face stood out from the crowd. She was calm, poised, elegant, and added a hue of calmness to an already somber mood when she first appeared with Ida Odinga at Opoda Farm. Elizabeth Tsvangirai would later appear at Odinga's funeral on Sunday, and her simple yet elegant dressing, as well as her natural beauty, evoked murmurs and comments around social media. The Senate Speaker, Amason Kingi, was lauded as a lucky man to have been seated next to the wife of the later Zimbabwean Prime Minister Morgan Tsvangirai. Elizabeth gained prominence in 2012 in Zimbabwe during her much-publicized union to the Prime Minister. In the history of Zimbabwe's struggle for democracy, few names shine as brightly or as painfully as that of Morgan Tsvangirai. He rose from humble beginnings in the mines of Gutu to become the face of resistance against Robert Mugabe's long rule. For decades, his courage inspired millions. But behind the headlines and the political rallies was a man torn by personal loss and private turmoil. Morgan Tsvangirai's first love was Susan, his wife of more than 30 years, his confidant, his anchor, the mother of his 6 children. Together they faced imprisonment, violence, and constant political persecution. But in 2009, tragedy struck. A car crash on a dusty road outside Harare took Susan's life. Morgan, injured but alive, wept openly at her funeral. The nation saw not a politician, but a broken husband. In the years that followed, loneliness surrounded him. The opposition leader who had once stood tall now walked alone. It was in this void that Elizabeth Macheka entered his life, elegant, young, and full of warmth. She brought laughter back into a house filled with silence. In 2012, the two married in a grand ceremony that made national headlines. It was supposed to be a new beginning, a chance for healing. But this was not to be the case. The hype behind the wedding was due to the 25 years age gap between them, as Morgan was 60 years and Elizabeth had just turned 35 years. The Catholic Church in the country even refused to officiate the wedding on grounds that the Prime Minister was already married and Zimbabwe was a monogamous country. This led to the decision to have a customary marriage that was attended by hundreds. Other concerns emerged from the fact that Elizabeth was the daughter of a politician affiliated to ZANU-PF, a party led by his rival Robert Mugabe. To Morgan's friends, Elizabeth was a plant from Mugabe's side, while others considered her a gold digger. Inside their marriage, all was not well. Rumors began to circulate of arguments, mistrust, and infidelity. Headlines spoke of quarrels, of physical altercations, and of Elizabeth being shut out of the MDC's inner circle. She, in turn, accused those around her husband of poisoning his mind against her. It was a marriage under siege from politics, from the press, and from the ghosts of Morgan's past. Still, the couple tried to endure. Morgan remained at the center of Zimbabwe's opposition politics, leading protests and negotiating with Mugabe's government. But his health began to fail. In 2016, he announced that he was battling colon cancer. The once vigorous leader who had faced down police batons now fought a quieter, more personal war, one that could not be won through rallies or speeches. Elizabeth stood by him through his treatments in South Africa, visiting his bedside as the disease took its toll. In the early days of 2018, Morgan's strength waned. He was hospitalized in Johannesburg, far from home. On February 14th, Valentine's Day, the nation woke to the news. Morgan Tsvangirai was gone. He was 65 years old. In his final moments, those close to him say Elizabeth held his hand. The two had endured public scrutiny, humiliation, and heartbreak. But in that quiet hospital room, they were simply husband and wife, facing the inevitable together. After his death, Elizabeth spoke publicly about her grief. She said she still felt robbed of time, of peace, and of the man she loved. Critics had called her a gold digger, a distraction, a political pawn. But she remembered him differently, as a man who tried to love despite being consumed by the nation's expectations. Elizabeth and Morgan's story echoes that of Raila Odinga and Ida, who have endured tribulation together, persecution, and finally loss. Beyond this, Raila Odinga showed up during Elizabeth's most tumultuous moment. After Morgan died, the Zimbabwean government barred her and her children from attending and did not accord the former prime minister a state burial. Raila intervened and insisted on her presence, at which the government reluctantly agreed. Elizabeth was also denied inheritance by her in-laws, but still carved her way through life and business. As she would later update on her social media, she understands the pain that Ida is going through, and was also there due to the bond shared over time. Elizabeth has 2 children, and one of them was recently wed. No details exist on whether she is dating, but she seems to be enjoying life to the fullest at the moment. What do you think of this bond between the Odingas and the Tsvangirai? Leave a comment, like, subscribe, and follow Echoes of Time for more.